On to other stories, Oakbay Investments says that the group is being persecuted without any evidence. Oakbay raised questions over why Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan only publicly flagged transactions attributable to Oakbay Investments. In a letter, acting CEO of Oakbay Investments, Ronica Ragavan, points out how the company is exhausted with the continued Oakbay obsession in the country. She laments how more than 7,500 staff of the group stand to ultimately lose their jobs without access to bank accounts. And according to Ragavan, there were more than 1 million transactions that the Financial Intelligence Center flagged as suspicious in the past 5 years. Of these, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan publicly flagged only 72 suspicious transactions attributable to Oakbay, and two-thirds of those 72 transactions took place after Oakbay's bank accounts were already shut. The group questions why bank accounts of the other 1,004,308 suspicious transactions were not shut down. Oakbay adds that even Treasury has acknowledged that suspicious does not mean proven illegality. The company says that while they are staving off the inevitable, more than 7,500 staff will ultimately lose their jobs due to the bank closures. And earlier I spoke to acting CEO of Oakbay Investments, Ronica Ragavan. Let's listen in to what she had to say. Why did you feel the need to write the opinion piece or byline article, and who was the target audience?
Cindy, actually, we are trying to be heard for the facts, and I think it's very important to remind South African citizens of who Oakbay is and actually what is the principles of this group and how we've been operating the business over the last 20 years. And hence the reason it's important for the citizens of this country to know exactly what is correct and what is incorrect, what is factual and what is innuendo. So that is the main reason why we will continue as well to bring this message out to our fellow citizens in the country.
Now, you've cited that the Financial Intelligence Center had found 1 million suspicious transactions in the last 5 years, and yet Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan flagged 72 of those transactions. Do you think that this was deliberate, and what was the purpose of that?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm 100% confident that's exactly the reason why he has brought out this certificate. If you have seen the FIC affidavit, it's been made very clear by the FIC director himself that this certificate does not say anything, does not say that these transactions are wrong in any way. So, I mean, it's very clear that the minister had a different agenda in publishing a certificate that is for particular use only.
You know, with the law and legislation, it is also ambiguous that it's open to interpretation. So you're convinced that this particular flagging of the 72 suspicious accounts is a deliberate attempt to frustrate the business of Oakbay Investment?
Yes, indeed. The thing is that, there's millions of transactions being reported. There's merely 72 transactions being flagged and highlighted throughout the media as if it was wrong. So what happened to the remaining million transactions? Where are these reports sitting or lying? With who is looking at it? How is it being investigated?
But what do you believe Oakbay has been singled out in this manner? Because even in the byline article, you cite the fact that as employees and material stakeholders in Oakbay, you're exhausted by this persecution in the public domain.
Cindy, the thing is that it's very clear that this 72 transactions has been used again as a political campaign. There's a fight between various ANC members and the government, and I mean we just being the Gupta family and Oakbay is being roped into this campaign against the president, and this is what the 72 transactions has been used to sidetrack the country from the real issues within the country to focus on this Gupta linked big FIC matter, you know, that there is this much or billions of rands of transactions being reported. And again, it's only being reported. It has been confirmed that there is no wrong, there is no right in it. It is merely a report which certain financial organizations within the country, I think there's 35 odd thousand institutions, financial institutions that are supposed to report transactions. Whether it's right or wrong, it is not a question. And that's what FIC's job is to do, is to do the necessary investigations on these reports.
Why do you think this obsession with the Gupta family and the Oakbay persists and permeates in society?
Okay, so I think that the obsession is what the minister wanted to create, again, to sidetrack the citizens from the real political issues that the country is facing between the president, the ANC, and various other parties. And the focus is now being put on the Gupta family, and everything that's wrong is related to the Gupta family and Oakbay, of course, directly.
And now in comes the banks who acted against Oakbay in what would seem like a collusion. Your response, and primarily where Finance Minister essentially washed his hands off, saying that he can't intervene. What's your response to the bank's action?
Okay, two things. One is that yes, the banks definitely colluded on this matter. We received the termination notices from the banks just over a few days from each other. I mean, it was 3 banks within a day or two from each other, all just sent us notices of termination without reason. And that's very odd. I mean, it has not happened in the history of this country. There's no precedent as such in this country for any other clients of a bank that has faced this type of termination without reason, and we should not provide a reason as well.
Yeah, we've heard responses like risk management, the fact that doing business with Oakbay could potentially, create a negative impression.
The thing is that, I am 200% sure that there is no wrong transactions being done. I mean, our transactions are very clear. I've been with the group very long, over a long period of time. And I know that every single transaction is above board. And hence the reason why we're asking the minister and FIC, please provide us the details so we can prove that this 72 transactions is correct or incorrect. And I mean, the minister is well aware that until and unless they do not provide us these details, we will never be able to legitimize these transactions.
And that, of course, would impact on the business of Oakbay since the closure of the banks and the breaking company with the likes of KPMG, etc. What's been the impact on Oakbay?
It's had a huge impact. The costs in the group has increased relatively. Of course, it's put a lot of pressure on the operation. And most importantly, it's put pressure on the fact that we have more than 7,500 employees and their families who will become the victim of this innuendo.
And over and above, with Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan taking the matter to court for a declaratory order, has that also precipitated the situation?
You know what I find very odd is that it was made clear by the minister himself in a meeting and with his correspondents that he will do whatever it takes to assist us, and Treasury will not stand still on this matter. And I mean, the fact that he launched an application or he went to court to request a declaratory itself tells us that he was never going to, or he had no intention of assisting us on this matter at all. And when we ask for assistance, it's not a matter that we went only to the minister. We reached out to whoever we thought is a possible person that can assist in explaining or going to the banks or requesting banks to give us reasons why they're terminating our accounts, because the livelihoods of people are dependent on these businesses.
Conventional wisdom and the court of public opinion is such that the Oakbay group wanted preferential treatment. That why would you expect that there would be a ministerial task team to intervene if it's never been done for any other business before?
So the reason why we say that we requested assistance is because we're just not able to get a reason from a bank. We have 3 banks within 2 days sending us termination notices without reason. We have to get help from somebody to get the reason from the bankers as to why they're closing our accounts. Because, I mean, terminating your account before being contacted that you've done something wrong, we have suspicion over entries, or we are investigating certain transactions. I mean, one day you just wake up and you get termination and notices at your office. I mean, that's very odd. And it has not happened previously.
You also say that the FIC certificate given to Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan was illegal. He was not supposed to have that in his possession. And secondly, that based on the impact it's had on the image and business of Oakbay, is there any remedial action that the company is taking?
So that is why in our affidavit we're very clear on this matter, that the purpose that the minister requested the certificate and the purpose that he used the certificate is completely unlawful. It is not expected from a minister that he would utilize this certificate for this purpose, because the FIC Act is very clear on this matter.
And then getting more information, it sounds like a very tedious, cumbersome and hugely frustrating process. So you require information from FIC as to why they issued the certificate to the minister. Have you had any joy or any satisfaction there?
So we've engaged with Nardello Company. It's a UK-based forensic audit. They have ran an audit on this reports, on these 72 transactions, what the minister refers to it as. And they could not match any entry to any transaction in our books, in our records. It's almost impossible to do. And hence the reason why we again and again have gone back to FIC and to the minister, requesting him to give us the details so we can legitimize these transactions and explain to the country whether we've done wrong or right.
Are you saying that they're devoid of any evidence and therefore that's why the minister or FIC is not able to give you satisfactory responses?
I again go back to the fact that it's a political game. The purpose of the certificate was used to black our name in the eyes of the public, and that is the only reason that the certificate was requested, and that is the only reason the certificate was used, and there's no other reason the certificate was requested.
Yeah, and the minister also in his head of arguments says that he's been consistently hounded by Oakbay to intervene in this matter, and therefore sought the courts to protect him in a sense.
I find that, again, I will repeat, I find that very contradictory, where he himself committed to go and out of his way as Treasury. They will not stand still, and I quote, on this matter, and to go and sought relief from the courts is a waste of taxpayers' money. It's a waste of the court's time in a matter where he needs not be explained what is his duties.
Ronica, but with all due respect, if you consume media in South Africa, you'd see that it tends to be very one-sided, that there is something untoward in the Oakbay business. Why should people believe what you say?
Sandy, people should believe on factual evidence before drawing a conclusion. It's very clear that between the government, being the minister, the FIC directorate, the Financial Intelligence Center, the Reserve Bank, the governor, and banks have clearly colluded against the Oakbay Group. It's unforeseen that within a matter of a period of time, once the bank closed our accounts, various other incidents have taken place. Suppliers stopped, advisors were recalling their accounts, etc., etc. So it's very evident that there's a big political game going on against one family. They're being targeted. And I believe the reason they're being targeted is also very clear. It's because they have now entered into certain businesses where it's in the economic benefit of the country, its people, employment, bringing foreign investment. And the group that's been controlling this for all the years have to face that there is a new entrant. And that's what they are finding difficult to accept.
Quantify the amount of business that Oakbay does with government, because there is again conventional wisdom that suggests that Oakbay has got its tentacles in pretty much all government structures and looting the country.
Yes, I also would like to see where this money went. But jokes aside, on a serious note, Oakbay Group, within the group, our government business is very little. It is just below 8.9% within the group, and that is just a matter of the last financial year. Prior to that, it was just about a percent in the group, within the group. So government business for us is very small. I mean, it's almost insignificant, if I would say so myself.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure your work is cut out for you, but once again, thanks so much for joining Africa News Network.
Thank you, sir.